So if we're a restaurant, we might compare ourselves to other restaurants in the city. We're making those forecasts, or we're making based on reading about our industry, reading about our competitors, reading about the general direction of the economy, reading our, general business publications like Business Week and so on, which I get every week, to get sort of a general direction of where the economy is going. We got to get those sort of assumption sheets. Those, I think sales are going to grow at 10%, our forecasts. Then, of course, we make our preparation of our pro forma, our future forecast statements. And now what happens at the end, of course, is that we start the business going. Okay, so now we're making sales. We want to compare our actual performance to our ongoing actual performance to our sort of pro formas. So it's sort of like, this is like our plan, and then this is now, the next step is, okay, now we're executing that execution intelligence stuff. Now we're executing the plan, and we want to see, compare the two. So again, variance analysis. I showed you that before, right, when we had those from that example with the firefly. I took from Timmons' book, right, the firefly and the teddy bear company. We looked at the ratios, and we looked at how the two ratios were different, the variance analysis. We've done this before. And again, benchmarking to competitors. I've shown you this all before. I showed you how to get the industry norms. Remember we went to that Hoover's and what was that other one? The Wharton School of Business. Remember we got the numbers and we looked at them. So that's sort of putting it all together. Sort of this step by step, step 1 to step 4 of the financial management process is starting with records, forecasting sort of growth rates, making up those statements like we did in Excel, and then comparing our projections, our plans to actual, and then of course taking corrective action if things are not, if they're deviating rapidly from plan. Right? If we thought sales were going to grow at 20%, they're only growing at 2%, then obviously we have a problem. So what's going on? And hopefully we can learn from our mistakes to become better forecasters. Okie dokie, getting financing. I think I've already covered this. Cash flow, capital investments, and product development cycle are, again, just to reiterate that point, are some of the reasons why we need to get financing. At least this is really driven, especially at the early stages, right? Because we're still developing the product. Okay, and these can change over time, as you'll notice from my last slide in this series. We talk about different rounds, like first round financing, or seed financing, all these other different crazy names they have. There's about 6 or 7, depending on, and again, depending on which book you read, there's different ways they classify this. The point being that as the business grows, time changes, then the needs might change over time. So in this part, I'm going to, as I said earlier, personal, debt, and equity are the 3 sort of big ones. The big sections, if you like. In personal, this is really, again, really driven at the early stages. Right? You're not going to be able to issue shares on the stock exchange. You're not going to be able to float, $50 million loans, because you might not even have the product at this stage. You might still be in prototype development kind of stuff. So where is the money coming to pay for this prototype development, to write your feasibility analysis and have someone proofread it and print it up nice and fancy to show potential investors or whatever? Where's this money coming from? 3 major sources. Out of your pocket, basically, personal funds. Your friends and family, sort of like your love loans. Right, grandma, give me some money. And this other concept that comes up a lot, and it is in your textbook, this bootstrapping. They do mention it in chapter 4 of your textbook, but I wanted to give you a little bit more depth and some examples of what bootstrapping means. So personal funds just means you go into your wallet and you pay for it. Right? You use your credit card, kind of thing, or your savings. or you sell something, you sell your car or something. The other thing is sweat equity. So this basically means you don't go out and hire someone to paint your facility. You know, Mr. Business major with all your fancy degrees, you're going to be the one standing there with the paintbrush. You're painting it. You're working the 90-hour weeks kind of thing. Okay? Friends and family means you go to your mom and you ask her for some money. You go to your grandma and ask them to lend you some money. This is basically the idea. Okay? Because this is actually kind of important too as a potential outside investor, to see whether the entrepreneur got the family and friends to invest. Because think about it this way. I'm an outside investor, let's say, and you, the entrepreneur, have come to me and asked me, Neil, can I borrow some money from you? And so I think to myself and say, well, none of your friends or none of your family, let's say, will lend you any money. Who probably knows you best? Your mom or some stranger off the street? Well, probably your mom does. So if your mom and all your friends don't believe in you, then why should I, the foreign, not the foreign, but the foreigner to the family, the outsider, the investor who doesn't really know you, why should I believe you? The people who know you best don't trust you, don't believe in you, won't commit to you. So you could look at this as sort of a way of saying, if they don't believe in you, then why should I believe in you? Right? Because they know you best. Whereas I, the outsider, don't know you as well. Bootstrapping just basically means it's sort of like, it's conceptually sort of like what happens when people lose their jobs or economies go into recession, right? You sort of have to scrimp by. You don't have, every day instead of going to Starbucks to buy coffee, you make your own coffee kind of thing. Instead of driving around in a Rolls Royce, you take the bus kind of thing. That's sort of the cutting corners because you don't have a lot of money to play with. Right, so that's the whole idea, is we can't live an extravagant lifestyle. So that's why they're saying buy used equipment as opposed to new equipment, because used is probably cheaper. Or if you're starting a restaurant, maybe you can get away with a used stove as opposed to a brand new stove. Lease things as opposed to buying, because buying might be you got to cough up $1 million. Leasing might be $20,000 a month. You can afford that. You can't afford $2 million right up front, kind of thing. It's just not going to happen. Obtain payments from customers in advance. So this was like my garbage example, the garbage compactor example, right? If you can get the potential buyer to give you some money up front, that can help you. Right? They're effectively financing your research and development, product development, basically. Right? Avoid, don't buy lavish furniture. Right? Like take a look at, for instance, right now on Prison Break. They have this T-Bag, right? Is sort of pretending to be a salesman working for that company. Look how lavish his office is. Beautiful, right? Fancy chair, fancy desk. The glass, kind of walls. Well, you can't afford to have fancy-looking desks, right? So no lavish furniture there. Right? Look for deals. So this is sort of like when people go haggling, basically, what this boils down to. Don't accept full price. Try to do deals. Another option could even be bartering. Right? Work out a deal with someone, like, if you sign maker make me up the sign to put on my store, I'll provide something else for you. Like your family can come eat at my restaurant for a week or something. So try to, because you don't have a lot of cash. Remember, that's the whole problem. So if you can do sort of a barter swap, that could be work out a deal with someone else. Maybe that'll work. Get government grants. I mean, for goodness sakes, look at all the American